How you doing? I'm Darren with Kickin BBQ. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today, I have a pork butt here, and this is gonna be the first cook on the Z-Grill's 1100 2B. So let's get this pork butt prepped up. We'll get it out on the Z-Grill's 1100 2B and just see how it turns out. All right, so here is the pork butt. Like I said, 7.69 pounds. Just have it on some aluminum foil here for easy cleanup. So I just wanna take a look at this, see if there's anything we have to trim off. This is looking pretty good. There's a little bit of weird fat right there, so we'll just take that off. All right, so that's about it. Because this is kind of an experimental cook for me, I'm gonna do something that I don't typically do on pellet grills, and I'm gonna cook this fat cap up. So to do that, I'm just gonna score the top of the fat cap so we get some nice seasoning in there. But first, I wanna season the bottom side of this pork butt. The seasoning we're gonna be using today as a base rub is Suckle Buster's SPG, the original SPG, the best SPG on the market, and I will argue with you about that. So we're just gonna go with a nice light layer. All right, so now that we have our base layer down, next we're coming in with my Kickin BBQ Honey Chipotle. Again, just a nice even layer all around. Gonna get that good barbecue flavor from this, nice smokiness from the Chipotle, and just really a universal rub for a lot of proteins. All right, now that we have everything seasoned up, we're just gonna come in and cross hatch this pork, and we're just going a little bit deep on here, nothing too crazy. Cutting through that fat cap. We're gonna get some good seasoning down in these grooves, just like that. We'll come in and go the other way. And there we go. My hope is this fat cap crisps up and we get some nice tasty morsels to mix into our pulled. Again, just coming in with the SPG and my Honey Chipotle. All right, and there we go. Our pork butt is ready to go. I have the Z-Grill's 1100 2B fired up at 225 degrees. I'm gonna let this sweat in for a few minutes. We'll get this out on the cooker and start that ladder method. So it's gonna be 225 degrees for 2 hours, 250 degrees for 2 hours, and 275 degrees till it's time to wrap, at which time we'll get it in a pan, cover it in foil, get it into a 300-degree oven, and cook it till it's tender. So I'm excited to see how this 1100 2B cooks this pork. So I will meet you out at the Z-Grills when it is time to get this on. All right, guys, so we have the pork butt on the Z-Grill's 1100 2B here. You can see I have a water pan underneath. That's strictly just to catch the drippings and help keep the grill clean. So we're just gonna let it run like that, 225 degrees for 2 hours, and then we'll check back in when we bump it up to 250 degrees. Pork butt is looking really good. We will see you in 2 hours. All right, so it has been 2 hours at 225 degrees. Let's check in on this pork butt. And man, that is looking beautiful. We have some wonderful color on there. That fat cap right there starting to split open. This should be crisping up as we increase our heat, and our water pan is doing a good job of catching the drippings. I don't want to let too much heat out here, so I'm going to get this closed down. And at this point, we are going to bump this up to 250 degrees, just like that, and let it go for another 2 hours. So we'll see you then, and this thing is gonna be looking real good at that point. Z-Grill's performing awesome. See you in a bit. All right, so it has been another 2 hours at 250 degrees. So 4 hours total. We're just gonna do a little internal temp check here. Sitting at about 126 degrees here. So it's probably gonna be another 2-3 hours at 275. So we have some good color here. At this point, we are cooking this until we have the color we want, and then we will wrap. I don't really care about internal temperature. This top fat cap is crisping up nicely. Still nice and clean in here. So I'm gonna get this closed down, bump it up to 275 degrees, and the next time you see this, it will be time to wrap, and I will let you know how long it's been. See you then. It has been another 2 hours since we've been rocking at 275 degrees. You can see we have some beautiful color here. I just took an internal temperature reading. We're sitting around 165 to 168. This top fat cap has really crisped up. I'm happy with this color. It is time to get this off, get it in another aluminum pan like the one below it, cover it in foil, and get it into a 300-degree oven until it probes tender, which is usually 206 degrees. I'm not gonna show you that whole process. I can show you what it looks like when I go to pull it out of the oven and it is done and we shred into it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Pop it in a pan, cover it in foil. You don't need to put anything in there. into a 300 degree oven and just cook it until it is tender. So we're 6 hours into this cook. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be another 2 to 3 hours for that 8 to 9 hour cook like I had said earlier, but this is looking really good. I can't wait to try it. The Z-Grill's 1100 2B Wi-Fi pellet grill has done amazing. So I'm gonna get this off, get it wrapped up, get it in the oven, finish it off, and I will see you when it's time to pull this apart. All right, so the timer just went off on the oven. We had it in there at 300 degrees, and this took just a hair over 8 hours. So it is probing nice and tender. This is the first time I'm gonna look at it since we wrapped it up and got it in there. Like I said, very simple wrap. Just put it in this foil pan, 2 sheets of aluminum foil over the top. And now let's take a look. And how about that? That is a nice barky pork butt. The fat up top is nice and soft. It's pillowy, it's rendered out. You can see we have some nice juices in the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna show you what to do with that later. You don't wanna throw those out. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to leave this just like that for 15 minutes. It's gonna help let the rest of this bark set back up. After the 15 minutes, I'm gonna cover it back up and I'm gonna let it rest for an hour to 2 hours, just depending on my timeline here. It is my Sunday night, so I'm trying to get this video wrapped up and get ready for work tomorrow. But this is looking really good. I'm very happy with it. Nice, solid 8-hour cook on this. You can't beat it. It smells nice and smoky from the Z-Grills. So I'm gonna let this bark reset 15 minutes, get it wrapped back up, and the next time you see this, it'll have had a nice little hour to 2 hour nap. We'll shred it up and see how we did. All right, so it has been a little over an hour since I've let this thing rest. You can see that bark is set up really nice. Now this thing is still gonna be absolutely screaming hot, and I'm gonna take a reading right here. Yeah, 177 degrees. Realistically, I'd like to get this down to 140, 150. I just unfortunately am running out of time right now, so we need to pull it early. If you have the time, let it rest down to that 140, 150, and you'll thank me later. I'm not too worried about this. This is just for some meal prep. I'm gonna freeze it up into 1 pound packages, put it in my freezer, so if I need a quick meal, I can pop it out and pull it. But yeah, this is looking really, really good. So I'm gonna glove up and we are gonna pull this and see how it turns out. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to slide this off to the side. I'm gonna put this foil down just like that. I'm gonna get this pork butt out of the pan and set it on there. I did poke through the foil. That's why I have the paper towels underneath so we don't leak the juice everywhere. I'm gonna take this nice strainer and I'm gonna pour the juice in there. And what's going to happen is the fat is going to separate from the juice. You'll be able to see that. And then we'll reincorporate this juice back into the pork. It just adds so much more flavor. If you're just throwing this away, stop. This is a ton of flavor for your pulled pork. All right, and here is our pork. And let's just pull this bone out and see how we did. Clean bone. Everyone loves a clean bone. That is real nice. And you'll be able to see here these little pieces of that fat cap we scored. Nice and rendered. They look amazing. We got that nice pillowy yellow fat on there. I'm gonna try a piece right now. That's really good. Nice and chewy, has a little bit of a crunch to it. Let's just jump in and pull this. That is pork that is as tender as your mama's love. I'm telling you right now. Smells wonderful. Great smoky smell from that Z-Grill's cherry wood pellets. Look at that nice tube right there. Pull that apart. Just beautiful looking pulled pork right there. And like I said, I am going to be freezing these in 1 pound packages, so I'm leaving some bigger chunks so when I go to reheat it, I don't run the risk of it drying out. So if you ever do this and you are planning on saving this for meals to come, leave it in these bigger chunks like this. Don't pull it super fine, and when you go to reheat it, it will turn out that much better. Trust me on this. I have experimented with it quite a bit, and this definitely yields a better reheated product, leaving it in some bigger chunks. Now at this point, hopefully you can see this on camera, but that top layer is the fat. Everything down here is juice. And if you've ever done this and not strained it, you'll know when this pork is cold in the fridge, you get yellow fat on there. That's because you didn't strain it. It doesn't hurt anything, but it just makes for a better appealing reheated product. So there we go. Another thing you can do if you don't have one of those strainers is you can pour all of that juice into another vessel, pan, cup, whatever, put it in your fridge, wait for it to solidify. You'll get the fat on top. You can scrape it off with a spoon, and then you'll get a almost brownish jello, and that is the meat jello, I call it. And you can reincorporate it back in there, warm it up, and dump it back in, or put it in and let it melt naturally. Works really well if you have this in a crock pot and you want to keep it moist. Instead of adding sauce, just add little bits of that meat jello and let it reheat naturally. But that is some really nice looking pulled pork. Let's jump out and let's do the taste test. All right, so it's a moment of truth. We're gonna try this out. I got a nice tube right here with some bark on the end. So tender, so juicy. I'm just going for it. Absolutely delectable, super luxurious, velvety soft pork, nice and moist, good smoke flavor on there from the Z grills, wonderful flavor from the seasonings on there. Adding that juice back in just gives it another layer of flavor. This is very, very good pulled pork. I'm very happy with how this turned out. The one thing I will say, and the reason I didn't use it in the beginning, is the super smoke mode I think is only for 160. Every time I kept trying to push it, it would drop the temp to 160. I'm a little disappointed I can't use the super smoke mode at 225, but it is what it is. I guess I could start it off at 160 super smoke for 2 hours, then bump it up to that 225 and be just fine. So it's not the end all be all. I still think it's a great cooker and it ran flawlessly. Like I said, it maintained temperature the entire time that PID controller did its job. All right, guys, that is all I got for you today. I'm gonna let this cool down, get it vacuum sealed up, get it in my freezer, and get ready for bed here. It's been a long day of filming. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, stay safe, and we will see you next time.